One. All right. So I manufactured a good countdown there, guys, and we went live at 1. So I'm super excited to have you be here with Ken Barr Jr., who is another speaker for Mindset Day at the Zigzag Virtual Summit. So I met you, Ken, a couple years ago. I guess it was like almost 2 years now. Was it May of 2019?
Yes,
Okay, so I met Ken 2 years ago, and even though we've actually only those 2 weeks, when I went to Michigan, I went to see him, and it's kind of crazy because we actually haven't talked too much, but you've definitely held a spot in my memory, so, where I instantly thought of you whenever we went to Zigzag Virtual. I was like, Ken needs to talk. Your enthusiasm is so, it just like, I can't get words right now. But it just spills out to everybody else. And I just loved it. And which is why I instantly was like, Ken has to talk because people are going to be excited. He's going to make people excited if they're not yet excited to hear them talk.
You're getting me excited. Like right now, I was going to try to mute the enthusiasm a bit, but now I feel like you're the coach and you're like, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to get people fired up and learn. And I'm like, just ready. I'm about to flip this table.
Do it. Like, Woo is in your top 5. So Ken is strengths as well. He'll be here talking about strengths and what its input and Woo are in your top 5. I don't know your other top 3.
Well, but I'm already impressed that you recalled 2. So
I know 2.
Top 5 strengths: input, maximizer, arranger, Woo, and learner.
There we go. So Ken, tell everybody more about you. So I don't mess up the words any more than I already have.
Okay. I'm Ken Barr Jr. My friends call me KBJ, and I am a Gallup certified strengths coach and a licensed professional counselor. And my mission is to help individuals and teams discover, develop, and apply their strengths in order to maximize pretty much whatever they want to do. So whether it's a personal goal, professional goal, my aim is to help you see what you do well and productively aim your strengths at that goal.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that's the only thing you do, because I remember when I interviewed you for Zigzag Virtual to make sure he wanted to be here. He was in the middle of the pandemic, which we're still in, but right before Christmas as well. And so he was trying to raise money for a family in need as well. So I just love that you have that giving heart where you're always trying to help other people. And I still remember the story about the microwave that you told me when I came to Michigan. I was like, oh, that's so cool that you got this all from. It's definitely generational, or your whole family. Is your whole family like that? I feel like it's a generation after generation of just very giving.
Yeah, I definitely see that in both sides of my family. Just very caring. I would say that there's a lot of relationship building strengths on both sides, from both my mom and my dad.
Have you made them do the survey?
They had the opportunity, yes.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it though?
Yeah, no, they did. Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have the Woo if they didn't do it. If I couldn't get them. But yeah, both of my parents, no surprise at all, lead with positivity.
Oh, okay.
Positivity is in my top 10. It's number 6 for me.
Okay, positivity is in like the top half of mine, but I was super disappointed that it was not in my top 10. Like, which I think is the opposite of why it's not in my top 10, because I was so disappointed that it wasn't.
Maybe your input though. Maybe your input has a positive hue to it. Like you're collecting more positive things.
Yeah. Input is in my top 5. And I remember coming to, because I was in group coaching with him and Anna. So Anna is speaking as well on Mindset Day about strengths, but different sides of it they're going to be speaking on it. But I remember coming to them and being like, your top is input. Like, isn't that a bad thing? Because my dad collects stuff a lot. So I was like, oh my God, if I have input, I'm probably going to end up being a hoarder in my life. And so I remember coming to Ken and going, okay, tell me the positive sides of input. Yeah. Because right now I'm scared as hell that input's in my top 5. So
yeah. It's a good reminder that every single person has these naturally recurring patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior. And in this instance, when we're describing input, that the behavior can be to collect things. That thing could be something physical, like a notebook, an old pen, or it could be collecting information, via web pages or books. But the point being is that you know that because you do it naturally, you have to be intentional to make sure that its application is productive. So if you're collecting so many books that you don't have a place to sit in your living room, then that invites a conversation about perhaps we can either organize the books in a better way or maybe not collect so many.
Yeah. Well, I think we would need the arranger side of that as well, which you have.
Yeah,
But let's talk about what you're going to be talking about. So
sure.
I know I mentioned, Anna is also talking on strengths, but you're going to be coming at this from a different side. And so that is why I really wanted both of you here, because you both have different, like, you don't share the same top 5, which makes your personalities completely different and bringing a different side of strengths, which I think strengths is good for everyone. Everyone needs, I like strengths more than all the other personality surveys. Thanks to you too. But tell us about the strength side of it that you're going to be teaching in 2 weeks.
Sure. So first of all, what we're referencing is an assessment that's called the Clifton Strengths Assessment. It used to be known as Strengths Finder, and it is an intrapersonal development tool. And its design is to help an individual discover those natural thought, feeling, and behavior patterns and find productive ways to focus those strengths on their goals to make the good life. And it is wildly popular. This tip, I'm going to say now, probably about 7 years ago. And StrengthsFinder 2.0, written by Tom Rath, it was a New York Times bestseller, and it was an Amazon bestseller for basically a decade, 10 years in a row. And it's become so popular. That's the one.
Good. That's your book. So fan base to listen. There you go.
Yeah, it's become so popular, the assessment, that people are using it not only in the world of work, but we are seeing it in schools, we are seeing it in churches, pretty much any place that you have a team and people want to know more about what they do well, and they want to learn more about what their colleagues do well. Mm-hmm. This tool provides a language that describes the natural things that you do really well.
Yeah. And I think this is, so when we talked a couple weeks ago, I brought up how I made my husband take strengths assessment. And so you're going to hear from him how to use it in business and employees, but truly understand that you're going to be able to use this in any relationship that you have. And so when I took it, I made my husband take it. So I don't have Lou. So I wasn't as, convincing. I was just like, hey, do it. Because you're my husband. And after he took it, because I'm so achiever, activator. I was like, because anytime I ask him to do something, it doesn't get done right away. And it drives me insane. I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's do this. And no, it doesn't happen. So I was like, you have to take this to prove that you have no activation in you. And that was why I made him take it. But that realization really helped, just because he doesn't activate or, escaped his list completely, I think.
It doesn't. And in fact, we hear so frequently from couples that say, now I understand why she does things the way she does. Now I understand why he asks questions before he begins. Whereas somebody with high activator is like, let's just begin. Let's start.
Yeah, let's do this.
And they can say, like, one of the very best outcomes from learning the strengths language is to understand that these are things that I naturally am going to do really well. But there shouldn't be the expectation that somebody else is wired the same way as you.
Yeah. And I think it really helps, because even just right now talking, my input is in the top 5. And whenever I remember stuff, really good. And so when my employees, I'm like, I told you this 3 times already. I'll, start to get that frustration of, why do I have to keep telling you? Mm-hmm. But then you have that realization where you back up and you go, oh, that's not their strength.
Yeah.
My strength is remembering every single little detail, which is very beneficial, but it's not everybody's. So
yeah. And it can cultivate a sense of empathy. There's a part where all of a sudden it's like for you to know, like, yeah, for me, I easily sponge up information. I remember it. I'm pretty much reading everything I can get my hands on, but not everybody has that. And so it would be a mistake if you expect them to engage with information the same way that you do. You're basically setting yourself up for disappointment.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so glad you mentioned empathy, because empathy is so low on in my strengths. And I knew it would be, because it's just not my thing. But it's neat to see how understanding other people's strengths can give you that bit of empathy that you might be missing from me.
Right. Yeah. I would say the biggest benefit is it creates an understanding of what whoever's on your team, what they do well. You start to understand their motivations for why they do things the way that they do.
Yeah, definitely. So I know we were going to talk about examples of how strengths plays out in business, but I know we definitely just did multiple times just with us. It's like a coaching session, Ken. What happened? It's supposed to be live. But Ken will be live on March 2nd at 11:15 a.m. first day during Mindset, to really dive deep into how you can apply strengths into your business, with your employer relationship, with your partner relationships, all those different sides. He's going to give you the big overview of how it's going to work, because only 30 minutes, so he cannot share. Like, we've already been here for 11, so he won't be able to share everything. So make sure you come, show up live, ask your questions, because I know that you are planning to have some Q&A sections in there. And so get some of your questions answered. Get ready, start looking at, like, these different aspects of strengths and how they could be playing a role in your business. And, if you really want to do homework ahead of time, go get your assessment, even just your top 5. Like, go to your top 5, and that'll help when you come to the class. It is not required, though, so do not feel mandated to go do it. But Ken, tell us more about what you do and how people can contact you to get help with strengths or other things in life.
Sure. So there are 3 major areas that I help people with. On an individual level, I help people who are interested in discovering what their strengths are. And most people are looking for an affirmation, like basically like, hey, I've been working for a bit. I know some of the things that energize me. I may be thinking about a career change, or I may be experiencing some burnout, or you're just considering. There's an idea in your mind. I'm thinking, I like what I do, but I keep getting thoughts of something else. And my background is in career counseling. And so one of the biggest things that I help individuals with is the discernment of, if you're considering a career switch, what strengths would you be able to leverage in that new role? With the goal being that that you will be engaged in that position if you get a chance to use your strengths every day. But for many people, if you just ask them straight up, like, hey, what are 5 things that you can contribute to any team with ease, excellence, and enjoyment? And people were like, let me think about that. And on the flip side of that, but if you ask them, hey, what are 5 things that people say are your weaknesses? Or what are 5 things that you think, those like just come off top of mind? Like, oh yeah, I'm definitely need help with time management, and I definitely am not empathetic. And what I do is help people understand that you get more satisfaction and you get more productivity from the areas that you are talented in. And my goal is to help you see, here are where your gifts are, and try to be more intentional to stay in that space more. If you're staying at a spot where you're constantly working on what you're weak in, then you're likely to feel less confidence, and you're also not likely to get the results that you would if you focus on those areas where you're strong.
Yeah, definitely. And how can they reach you?
You can email me at kenbarjr@gmail.com. But also, I mean, folks, this is the age of information. I mean, you can tweet at me, you can send me a message on LinkedIn. It's all there. It's all Ken Barr Jr.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's Ken Barr Jr. everywhere. So make sure, especially like you're talking about, like the career visioning and how pulling your strengths into that. So if you are struggling in the career you're in, this summit is about leadership and growing your business. And so if you're having a problem right now and you can't identify those 5 things, reach out to Ken. Like, don't wait until March, even though it's only 2 weeks away. Reach out to him now, and you can definitely talk to him to get a head start on that. And then if you haven't yet, get your ticket. I was trying to move my hands to figure out which way I need to do this because I always mess it up. So
there it is.
Over there, just down. There you go. I'm just going to do down. He's much better at this. So make sure you get your free ticket to Zigzag Virtual, and then you can come see Ken live March 2nd at 11:15 a.m. to really understand how strengths are going to play a role for you. Ooh, you're listening to us live.
Yeah. You know what? I just got an update that we are live.
We are live. Yeah. And we're about to be unlive. So but make sure you get your ticket at Zigzag Virtual. See Ken live. Learn about strengths. Reach out to him personally. kenbarrjr@gmail.com. 2 R's in bar. Just make sure you do that. And then find him anywhere on social media, and he will help you with strengths and help you identify where you can succeed. Stop looking at it as, what's the worst that can happen. Start looking at what the best can happen is by using your strengths. So anything else you want to leave us with, Ken, before we go off?
I think that what you have put together is going to be so beneficial because you've effectively grabbed from your network the people that that kind of this is the best. I've curated this. These things we know will help your business multiply. These are the things that are going to help you be successful. So I had a client who talked about how she had tripled her revenue in less than a year's time. And part of that was just focusing on the things that she got the most juice from. Mm-hmm. And in the team context, you have to understand what strengths that everybody brings to your unit. Because if you do that, you'll be more efficient and you can have this more strategic alignment. These are the job responsibilities, and these are the strengths and the people that we're going to point at it.
Yeah. No,
it'll all make sense when you come to the Zigzag conference.
Yes, come to Zigzag. I'm excited to watch everyone speak. So I'm super excited. I'm going to be here all day just watching and taking notes on everything. So if you haven't got your ticket, do it now. And then we will see you in a couple weeks. I'll see you tomorrow with another speaker, but everybody else will see you next 2 weeks from now. So, all right.
Anna, thank you.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Stay warm.